Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, joined by Matt Atchity from Rotten Tomatoes, and Christy Lemire from the Associated Press, who I believe has her nails matching her skirt.
I'm girly today.
Very girly.
I'm kind of girly. I don't know.
A lot of people don't know that I too have my nails. No,
Come on,
clear.
Man. You gotta
clear because I'm wearing no pants.
You gotta finish.
Wow, that's a visual.
All right, no,
Thanks
you did.
for that.
You made it better. Cenk, by the way, for those of you watching live, as he's hosted the Ed Schultz Show all week on MSNBC. The show is 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. Starts in about 50 minutes. Most of you will be watching on YouTube, rendering this portion of the program totally irrelevant. A couple of movies today, The Switch with Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston, and Lottery Ticket with Bow Wow and some others.
And Friends.
Bow Wow and Friends. We'll begin with The Switch, and it escapes me who's going to tell us about The Switch.
You are.
I will.
Atchity.
Lucky
we love
me.
chick flicks.
Matt
Lucky
Atchity
me.
with details of The Switch.
What few details you really need to know. So The Switch is about a woman played by Jennifer Aniston who decides that regardless of her single status, she's going to have a baby. She finds a donor, a sperm donor, and the night that she's getting ready to get herself inseminated, her best friend, played by Jason Bateman, spills the sperm and replaces it with his own.
Mm-hmm. Well,
What else can I say?
That's pretty
Let's-
much it.
Let's
Yeah,
watch the
nicely done.
I would like you to be the first to know I'm having a baby.
You're pregnant?
Not yet, but I'm working on it.
A party for insemination?
Only Cassie would do it like this. I'm Roland, the donor.
Well, I'm Cassie's best friend.
Oh, that's okay.
What's wrong with my sperm, by the way?
You're a little neurotic.
You had your window with Cassie, and you doomed it. She put you in the friend zone.
So who does this?
Will you relax? This is how everybody's doing it these days.
Shouldn't that be cleaned or something?
I'm messing with you.
Maybe
So
knock that
funny.
off.
Wally, I hate it when you drink. You lose total control.
Well, there you go. That's accurately described, Matt. I don't want to. I don't have very much to say about this movie, but there's a clip there in the trailer that we saw where somebody says, "Oh, she has the insemination party," which I know you want to. Couldn't be more ridiculous. But it says only Cassie would do something like this. And my thought was, after seeing this film, was that's incredibly misrepresentative because we have no idea what Cassie would do. We essentially learn nothing about her the entire movie. They just say stuff about her, but that we don't learn one thing about her or Jason.
Yeah, no, not a second of this movie rings true. I mean, from the very beginning, I don't believe they would be friends with each other, much less best friends, much less have this secret sexual chemistry that has been building for years and years, and it's their destiny to be together. I don't believe she would have an insemination party that's just unsanitary and crass. I don't believe that the cup of jizz would just be sitting on top of the toilet. It's just sitting there as a candle to make the room smell
On the little
nice.
warming tray.
It's on a warming tray. That's true, to keep them swimming nicely. I don't know. Everything about it is false. The fact that he would dupe her into having his child inadvertently, and we're supposed to root for that. That's creepy.
Although to be clear, they play it off that he is blacked out drunk and he doesn't necessarily remember.
That's a problem too.
Right?
If he's
Which
that
is
drunk, how's he going to
exactly.
perform?
That's the problem with this movie is that the.
Actually, you'd be surprised.
It didn't take him very long, though. I mean, he is looking at a picture of Diane Sawyer.
Right,
If it
well,
were Katie Couric.
That's
I don't know.
Judy Woodruff. That would
John
do it.
Amanpour would do it
Right,
for me.
that would do it. So these are all the party itself. It's ridiculous. And if this were a sort of crazy zany comedy, that might work. But I don't even know what this is. It's more romance than comedy.
It tries to be very sentimental toward the end. They're a family now. It's all wrong.
And even it just wasn't that funny. It didn't even, and I don't mean that in the sense that it was failed humor. They didn't even really seem to try very often to be particularly funny. But the idea of an insemination party where literally everybody gets together and then the woman goes into the bathroom and uses a baster, which will lead, I'm sure, to a point you're about to make, and get pregnant is ridiculous. And I would also like to point out, because he was hungover right afterwards at work, they apparently had it on a Tuesday or a Sunday. and they had all these drinks, like they're all throwing back shots,
Now,
and then
don't
everybody had to
act
be
like
at
you
work at
haven't-
8:30.
Don't act like you've never had the 2 or 3 day hangover.
No,
Come
it was
on.
clear.
Come on.
It
No,
was,
because
like,
Come on.
it had been the night before. He said
Oh,
you showed
wow.
up at my house at 3:00 in the morning. Jeff
Oh, good
Goldblum
point.
did.
All
You
right.
don't remember? It was not a. It was no 2-day hangover.
Yeah, he's on drugs too, because Juliette Lewis, who is there as the
Right.
obligatory wacky best friend,
Right.
gives him some kind of drug.
Yeah, but Baster I brought up because it's
Yes.
based on a.
It's the name of the short story by Jeffrey, I'm going to botch it, Eugenides, I want to
seems
say,
right. That sounds
who wrote The Virgin Suicides, which was great. He also wrote the short story this was based on. The man is a Pulitzer, and they've totally taken that core concept of wanting to have a child at age 40 by yourself, which is a situation that a lot of women find themselves in.
Yeah.
This film does them no favors.
No, it doesn't do it. And I thought it was one sort of preposterous setup after another. Jeff Goldblum, who's pretty good, but as Jason Bateman's friend, one, I don't believe they'd ever be friends. They have nothing in common. We learn nothing about Jennifer Aniston or Jason Bateman. The film span's like 7 years. We learn nothing about them throughout. I mean, forget there is no chemistry. They're incredibly one-dimensional from scene one until the end. She works, apparently, she's a TV producer. I don't know what he does. Some
He's a
financial
stock trader.
analyst,
He's a
right?
stock trader.
They at least kind of flesh him out vaguely better than her. He has
Yeah.
a characteristic, which is that he's miserable, but he's miserable and a dud. And like
Yeah.
if he's miserable and interesting, that's fine.
Right, but he's not miserable, and she's just miserable, and she's
She's nothing. She's like a cipher.
Yeah, I don't know what. And then every scene that they had with Jeff Goldblum, that he had with Jeff Goldblum, was one of those preposterous movie conversations designed to tell you things about the story, which obviously these two people who were friends would already have talked about.
Right,
But,
it's
but
all exposition.
unaware, all exposition, but unaware how to advance the story. The script produces these really inauthentic conversations one after the other.
I agree.
All right.
You have no
It's
thoughts?
terrible.
Put
Well,
down-
no, all right. So I have a few thoughts. First, I thought that Jeff Goldblum, he doesn't save the movie, but he's definitely worth watching in this. I think he was very good in this. I think
the best part, yeah.
he's the best part of this movie. And I will say,
I thought Diane Sawyer was the best.
I will say, if you come into this movie half an hour late, 40 minutes late, and you've missed the insanity and awfulness of the premise,
Right.
I think that I wouldn't say evolution, but what happens in the relationship between Jason Bateman and the kid as they get to know each other, as he becomes, this friend of the kid's
Right.
moms and navigating that, I actually kind of bought that. And I thought that part kind of worked. And as much as it's sentimental, it's not played for laughs now. Granted, it's done much better in About a Boy. But as far as somebody learning about themselves and how to deal with life by dealing with a kid, I actually thought that kind of worked.
Yeah,
But
the stuff with him and the kid is that, again, you talk about that gives him a little depth that she.
I thought that kind of worked, but the problem is the original premise of the movie. Again, you have to come into this half an hour late and have missed all of just the crap that comes before that.
I'm looking at the LA Times because everyone should still read a newspaper. They come out
Yay.
in many cities.
Daily.
Well, yeah, I guess daily.
And they
It's-
may put stuff in their paper that
you
they
should
may
come
not put
into this
online.
100 minutes late. Then you'd be okay.
Yeah, we've mentioned the kid yet. The kid is cute,
Yeah.
like saucer-eyed, precocious kid, but he's supposed to be like a nubbishy mini-me version of Jason Bateman, having never met him before, which sparks a whole, or it could spark a whole, nature versus nurture debate, which the movie doesn't even want to bother with.
Right.
Right.
All right, let's get some ratings. I think we've made our points clear. Matt, we'll begin with you.
I give it, a very complicated meh, a 5.
Very complicated, Matt. Christy?
I give it a 2.
Yeah, well,
I'm the tough one here.
Yeah, you backed it up with a 2. I gave it a 4. I didn't, I didn't totally hate it, but I would never recommend anybody to go see it. That gives us a overall rating of 11 divided by 3, which I believe comes out to a 3.7. Now we're going to check my math. Yeah,
Yay,
baby.
math.
what I'm
Thank
talking
God you're
about.
here to do math, because when I'm in the center square and I have to do math, it's all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, well, Paul
Well,
Lynn wasn't any good at it either.
as Barbie has told us, math is hard.